These nights all roll together in a rush. Behind the mask. Sometimes in the morning, I have to force myself to remember everything that happened.
Unbelievable breaking news this hour, everyone. Again, four-term incumbent Gotham Mayor Don Mitchell Jr. was found murdered last night inside his home in the exclusive Crest Hill district.
Exact details of the crime still have not been released, but a citywide manhunt is already underway as police and FBI search for the brazen killer. And this certainly is not the first time Gotham has been rocked by the murder of a political figure. In fact, in an eerie coincidence, it was 20 years ago this week that celebrated billionaire philanthropist Dr. Thomas Wayne and his wife Martha were slain during Wayne's own mayoral campaign. It was a shocking crime that remains unsolved to this day. Don Mitchell Jr.'s political career was especially notable for his tough war on drugs when he and city police launched a major sting operation resulting in the arrest of notorious mafia crime figure Salvatore Maroni with what to this day remains the biggest drug bust in GCPD history.
I assume you heard about this.
Yeah. Oh, I see.
Remote neural monitoring.
There's a cipher, too.
I used to wonder why some of my perpetrators would refer to me as RoboCop, one of many other like superhero names that they've called me in the past. But I thought one was pretty interesting, RoboCop. Why RoboCop? I had to watch the movie again to kind of try to figure it out. And one thing that stood out to me in the RoboCop movie, when Murphy died and they put him back together and they, fused him with robotics and technology. And one of the things that the police department could do is they could see through RoboCop's eyes. And for the longest time, I used to try to figure out how do these people know what I'm doing in the privacy of my own residence or in a room that I've never been in before. And I used to think, oh, they install cameras everywhere. There's cameras all over the place. There's no cameras in the room. The cameras are in your eyes. I vividly remember when they fused my eyes with this technology. I was living on the north side of Houston, Texas. I was married at the time. It was in a house that we were living in Greenspoint. And I remember waking up the next morning after they had done the procedure, and my vision was very blurry. Just out the blue for no reason. I never had any issues or problems with my eyes in the past. Sometimes you might wake up with a little cold, in your eye or like mucus. You wipe that out and you're good to go. But this was a very distinct haze that was over both my eyes, and it scared the shit out of me. I called to my wife. I told her I think I need to go to the emergency room. There's something wrong with my eyes. I washed it out with open water. The haze was still there. I go to the emergency room. Of course, they get communicated to before I even get there. And they are told basically what to do. So they prescribed me some these prescription eye drops or whatever. And it's like, oh, you just had an allergic reaction to something. And this was back in I want to say 2013 or 2014. One of those years is when it happened. So those of you that are truly targeted and you're wondering how they're able to know what you're doing in your room, how they're able to get the combination to your safe, how they know your bank account information, how they know your passwords on your computer, and no one's in the room but you. It's because they can see through your eyes. A lot of these movies, they put the truth out, and it's right there. It was no wonder while I was locked up in the Polk County Jail, some of the correction officers were fearful because they had gotten word that they could see through my eyes. It was a wonder why I was placed in certain neighborhoods that had like drug dealers and stuff like that, and the next thing you know, they're getting busted because I was in that area and I observed what was going on with my eyes. So there's a criminal element to what they're doing, right? Because obviously I didn't sign up for this shit. I didn't sign up to be a walking surveillance vessel. So it's like I'm inadvertently being used to fight crime while at the same time being tortured and harassed. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. I don't get no payment. I don't get nothing. I'm just a walking fucking experiment. So yeah, once again, if you're going through this, you're wondering how they are able to know what you're doing so vividly. It's because they have the technology to see through your eyes. They have infused your eyes with some sort of technology, some sort of surgical procedure with precision, accuracy, whatever it is that they did. When I was locked up in jail, the night I got arrested and I was driven into the Bay Area of the jail, where you walk in to go get booked. I felt out of my eyes. How can I explain this? I would liken it to like a million people logging on online at the same time. That's what it literally felt like out my eyes. I saw this blue flashes of light around the peripheral of my eyes as soon as I walked into that jail. It was like there were so many people logging in to see what I was seeing in that jail. Okay. So again, I get tortured, harassed, gang stalked, have my life systematically sabotaged. They only allow me to have so much. They only allow me to make so much money. But yet at the same time, it's like I'm a walking vessel that they are using to see through my eyes to observe what's going on around me. And sometimes I believe, because again, if you've been watching my channel, I disclosed not too long ago, a few videos back, that I do Airbnbs. It is no coincidence that I have the job that I have and I'm having to move around in the manner that I'm moving around and being set in certain places because these people want me to see something. So in a way, I guess if they're getting drug dealers off the street, I'm all for it. Hell, I even applied for the drug enforcement. I applied for the DEA back when I was in Houston, Texas. My resume went to Washington, D.C. and everything. I observed corrupt Houston police officers dealing drugs right out of their vehicles into the community, so giving them right to the drug dealers, right in front of me. Saw it all the time. I took no part in that madness. I lived around it. I've lived in the hood. I've lived amongst the well-to-do. I've been to schools where it was predominantly Caucasian, well-to-do. I've been to schools where it was just straight hood and ghetto. I've seen it all. And I just thought to myself, wow, I've seen the corruption. What can I do about it? And I tell you, right after I submitted my application to apply for the DEA, that's when it was very noticeable that I started getting stalked and harassed by law enforcement. I was still dealing with perp harassment, but the law enforcement part of it increased exponentially. I guess this was the corrupt law enforcement because not all of them were against me. There were quite a few of them that actually liked me, and some of which actually helped me from time to time. So just be careful and just have the knowledge of knowing that these people can see through your eyes. It's not no cameras that they've installed in your walls, because I can tell you, you can go to a completely different city. You can move to a completely different house, apartment, go to a different hotel room, whatever. These people always going to let you know that they know what you're doing because they do something called street theater, where they will act out maybe something that you did the other night in the privacy of your room, or they may talk about it in directed conversation. You might be in the grocery store aisle, and someone further down the aisle, or maybe on the next aisle over, is having this loud conversation about some lingerie that you were looking at online because you were trying to shop for your girlfriend. Okay? So, remote neural monitoring, the ability for them to be able to see what we see, is very real. It is not a joke. And it's not science fiction anymore.